I'm Miss Beane.
And I'm Miss Lloyd.
And today we're making cookies. Okay guys, for our very first demo, we are gonna make chocolate chip cookies today. So I hope everyone will enjoy what we're about to make. We're gonna show you some techniques as we go through. So very first thing, it says we're gonna cream together the butter and the white sugar. Okay guys, to cream together butter and sugar, what that means is we're going to make it mix until you can't tell the sugar from the butter. So this recipe calls for 1 cup of butter. That's going to be 2 sticks of butter because butter is in half cup measurements measured out already. And then we have 1 cup of white sugar. We're going to add that in. And we have 1 cup of brown sugar. So cool fact about brown sugar, if you guys can see, is kind of like building sandcastles when you measure it because you have to pack it in there. White sugar you just put in there and scrape off and make sure it's level. Brown sugar you pack and make sure that it's 1 cup. So to cream, again, we're gonna mix this together. So I'm gonna put my KitchenAid down, I'm gonna lock it in place, and I'm gonna turn it on. And we're just gonna let it go until it mixes together. All right guys, so our butter and sugars have been creamed together now. So I'm gonna turn off the mixer so you guys can see what that is. I unlocked the mixer and lift it up. And if you guys can see in there, it is nice mixture. You can't tell the sugars apart from the butter. So one way that helped us do that was our butter was softened. You always wanna work with softened butter. So the next thing I'm gonna do is it's very important to follow our recipe. It says beat in the eggs 1 at a time. So eggs are going to add structure to our cookies. They're going to help hold them together. It also adds a rich flavor. When your recipe tells you to beat your eggs in 1 at a time, it's great to follow that rule because you want to make sure your eggs are mixed very well. You don't want to bite into like a big chunk of cooked egg, like a scrambled egg in the middle of your cookie. Gross. All right, so we're going to mix 1 egg. When our egg is completely mixed, we're going to add that second egg in. Again, provides richness, flavor, structure. Great things this egg's doing right now. The next thing our recipe calls for is vanilla. And so guys, you will notice I have already got all of this stuff measured out. That is a cool French term called mise en place. That means a place for everything and everything in its place. So this way it makes cooking a breeze when you have it pre-measured out and ready to go. So I'm gonna mix in that vanilla. Notice I'm not mixing very long. I don't want to over mix my cookies. That's going to create a tough texture. Nobody wants a tough cookie. The next thing I'm going to add is kind of called a slurry. It's going to be a combination of baking soda and hot water. The reason we're going to do this is it's going to help our cookies stay together, nice and cohesive. It's not going to like spread out all over the place over our pan. All right guys, so I just added that slurry of baking soda and the water into there. I've mixed that. And now the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in some salt. You might be thinking at home, why are you adding salt into cookies? Well, that is a great question to ask. And salt, not only does it provide that salty flavor, but it also kind of works with your egg, and the chemical reaction there makes your cookies where they rise up a little bit, and they're not gonna be just flat, hard hockey sticks of a cookie. So we want them to have that little bit of a rise. It's gonna add the chewy texture to it. So we definitely want to add salt to our baked goods because it does act as a leveling agent and causes that rise. All right, so now our salt is completely mixed in. And now the lovely Miss Lloyd is going to come and finish our cookies.
All right, y'all, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my 3 cups of flour. I already have this portioned out in dry measuring cups. So you can see everything that we've measured that's a dry ingredient is gonna be in one of these cups, okay? It's kind of round. A liquid measuring cup would have a handle, usually glass, and that's for things like the vanilla, if you were using that, or if you had water, etc. So I'm gonna add this in kind of slowly to make sure that it incorporates fully. So you don't wanna just dump in all 3 cups of flour all at once because then there can be clumps of flour in your cookies and nobody likes that. So slowly I'm gonna add these in. So I'm just gonna make sure that I do this slowly until all 3 cups of flour are incorporated, and then it will be time to mix in our toppings. All right, everybody, so as you see, I've went ahead and portioned my dough into 2 separate bowls. And the reason for that is we're gonna have 2 types of cookies we're making today. So I like dark chocolate, Miss Beane likes white chocolate, so that's why we're doing 2 different kinds. And just to kind of show you that you can just take the base cookie dough recipe and add in whatever you want. We also have some walnuts in here, so it's gonna be really good. As you can see, I've cleaned my space a little bit. It's really important to clean as you go so you don't have a ginormous mess. Also, so you don't kind of contaminate different things into, you know, I don't want flour all over my chocolate chips. I don't, you know, or what have you. So do the dishes as you go, clean up as you go, and you should be great. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna mix my dark chocolate chips and walnuts into this dough. And I'm gonna use a technique kind of called folding in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna stir it really hard like this. I'm gonna take it slow and make sure that everything is really nicely and fully incorporated. That way, I'm not overworking the dough like Miss Beane said, but I'm getting everything mixed in there evenly. All right, so I have my chocolate, my dark chocolate chip cookies here, my white chocolate chip cookies here, and we're gonna go ahead and portion them out and put them on our pan. A really cool trick to use is these portion scoops. They kind of look like ice cream scoops, and they come in different sizes. This purple one is like a really good size for cookies. It's perfect. And this just helps your cookies, if they're all the same size, first of all, it helps get them on the pan, but it also helps them cook more evenly. So you don't have a huge cookie that's like soft in the middle and then a small cookie that's really hard and crunchy. I've also gone ahead and lined my pan with this silicone mat. It's called a Silpat. And what that does is it helps the cookies not stick to the pan, and it makes for really easy cleanup, and they're reusable, so they're really awesome. So we're gonna go ahead and portion these cookies out, and then we'll get ready to bake them. All right, everybody, so we're gonna go ahead and put these in a 350-degree oven. This oven over here is called a convection oven. It's in Miss Beane's room. It's a really cool piece of equipment because it bakes things evenly and more quickly. So if I put it in here, it's probably gonna say 10 to 12 minutes, but this will maybe cook in 8. So you wanna watch them when they're in the oven and make sure that they're kind of golden brown around the edges, but not in the middle, because a done cookie in the oven is overcooked. They keep cooking when they come out of the oven. So you wanna make sure that they're still a little doughy in the middle, golden brown around the edges, and they should be perfect. We'll check them in a second.
So our cookies are ready to come out of the oven. Remember, just like Miss Lloyd told you, a done cookie in the oven is gonna be a burnt cookie. So we're gonna pull that out before they get looking brown all over. So look at this deliciousness, y'all. Doesn't that look yummy? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this here, and we're gonna let it sit on our pan for just a little bit because something happens called carryover baking. I just took this hot pan out of a 350-degree oven, so that pan is still 350 degrees. So those cookies are gonna continue to cook for just a few minutes. I'm gonna leave them on here for 2 to 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna place them on cooling racks. I will use a turner to scoop up the cookie and place it on the cooling rack after they've set on their pan for just a little bit to finish their cooking.
And here's our neighborhood history teacher, Miss Wood. How are they?
10 out of 10. I would recommend.
The cookies are done.
But the dishes are not, so the job's not finished.
Happy cooking, y'all.